All right, here we are. I am very excited. I love having all these people together. This is a good group. So I'm Corey Walmsley with Aurora Borealis Publishing, and today I have Kelli Komondor with K2 Creative, who works with all of our clients. We handle a lot of PR because of Kelli. And then we also have Holly McIlwain and Amy Hooper-Hanna with us, and they're the authors of For She Who Grieves. And today, what we wanted to talk about was how you get your book in front of people, how you get your business in front of people, how this book can be used to connect all these pieces. Amy and Holly put out their book in November of last year, so it's been a few months, and I've been watching. I always watch. I stalk all my authors, not just because they're cool, but because I want to support them and make sure that I'm commenting on their posts when they talk about their books. I'm sharing that stuff because those are great ways for them to get more exposure. So I've been really impressed with what they've been doing, and I'm going to let them talk a lot today about how they're getting their book in front of for their brands. So welcome, Holly and Amy.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Love being here with you guys.
We love having you guys. What I wanted to start with was just letting you guys introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about the book and who it's for. So I don't know which one of you wants to go first, but go ahead.
Holly, go ahead.
Thanks. So my name is Holly Joy McIlwain, and I am the founder of the Brave Women Project, a nonprofit organization that has a high impact in providing support and encouragement for professional women. And my work with the book was holding some responsibility for roping Amy into doing the book with me. I had an idea that was born out of the circumstances that just could have crushed and crumbled anyone. But I was surrounded by a community of women that were truly powerhouses of support and encouragement through sharing authentic experiences themselves. And as I was encountering all of the stuff of life, I was maintaining a high pressure professional role, which I still have, and raising my family. And so I wanted to provide a tool that would address a very sensitive topic that affects everyone, grief, through the lens of hope. And I brought Amy in to do this book with me because she is a demonstration of hope and what living hope looks like. And so, Amy, why don't you share?
Yeah. You didn't really have to rope me in too hard because I love working with you anyway. So let's see. I was going to tell you a little bit about the book too. Holly mentioned that the book is for anyone. It's called For She Who Grieves, but it's really for anyone. It's anyone who's felt significant loss and trying to get unstuck. And I happened to meet Holly at a time in my life where I was in the process of becoming unstuck. And we both are leadership consultants, and whether that's leading other people or leading yourself, we had a lot of insight that helped us through our grieving process, each respectively. So we worked really well together. We partnered together in writing the book, and yeah, it's been a joy to write a book about grief. Sounds odd, I know, but it was. It's very inspiring.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not something you ever thought you would say, but I would agree with you that it's not a book that is so focused on grief that you feel sad reading it, that you feel joy, you feel hope, you feel like there's a way to get through and live your life again with some bright light at the end of the tunnel. So you guys are absolutely amazing for writing this, and I just wanted to acknowledge that first. So I'm going to turn things over to Kelli. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and I'm going to let her start with the questions. So Kelli.
Thank you, ladies. Kelli Komondor with K2 Creative, and I'm a visibility strategist. So what I do is I handle visibility for Aurora Borealis Publishing's clients, authors. I work with some nonprofit organizations, and I'm also a member and a board member of the Brave Women Project, which is how I know Holly and Amy, and Corey and I met a few years ago, and she actually helped me publish my book back in 2021. I don't know where the time goes. The book's fantastic. The authors are fantastic. The mission of the book is fantastic. Tell us a little bit about what has worked for you really well with selling the book online. What are you doing to get an online presence and to get the book sold online?
Yeah, well, I'll start with this and then I'll kick it to Amy. Now, one of the things that was surprising to me was that books don't just automatically sell. That just because you write a great book, it doesn't mean that the whole world knows about it, wants to know about it, and wants to buy it. And for me, this book was a book that had to be written and had to be in the hands of people. If I kept it inside myself, I would explode. And, one of the things that I observed is that it's social media is such a great way to share your stories and share your work. And it's relatively lower cost than other mediums that right away, Amy and I decided we were going to leverage every resource we had that didn't cost a lot of money to share the book. And so a lot of our initial work in sharing the book began with really us bootstrapping a social media campaign and thinking about what was speaking to us from the book and how do we communicate this in a crisp and polished professional way. And thank Kelly, you were someone who I wanted to work with before the book was even ready to be published. Before I even, brought the project to Corey, I knew that I wanted you to help us with visibility because I saw the way that you facilitated the knowledge of 21 and getting that book out there. And so I wanted to be very strategic and use every resource I had to tell the story before the book was even in people's hands so that they would begin to find value and want to have that value as something they consumed and shared.
Yeah, I'll say that too. I agree. I think what most people don't realize about writing a book is you don't get rich from writing a book unless you're already famous or you have a really, really, really good connection to someone who's already famous type of thing. So you actually, put your own money into publishing a book, right? So it takes, what I'm hearing too, is it takes a little while for income to start coming in. You got to be patient, but it's the work around the book too, the talks around the book, and publicizing those. I am not a super social media person. I partnered with a co-author who is very good at that and very strategic about that. And Kelly and Corey, you're both really good with that. And so it helps to have that kind of support. I will say, like, even just simple things as far as like selling the book online, putting a link to the book in your email signature, or in anything that you write or do it's just such a simple thing. That right there is gold. And also making it easy for other people to promote your book. So giving people the language and the words and the link and saying, hey, would you mind helping me out? If you could forward this to your people, that would be great, type of thing. Yeah, leveraging your support, your group, your connections. I don't have a large following, but I have friends who do. And so I asked for their support in promoting my book, and that was huge online. That was huge. So
yeah, that was something that Amy was so good at. Amy was really excellent at drafting the language for the asks, and then she's fearless. And so she would ask people that had, that she connected with because she had followed their work, and she would ask them, she made these bold asks, and some of them said yes, and ended up getting our book in front of audiences that we never would have had a connection to. And that was something that was really important to me. And I valued that because I could make the consumable media, but she was making these things that were really connecting people to what we're about in meaningful ways. And I think we ended up with a blend that just worked. It was a great recipe.
Yeah. And if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So, you just expect that people will share it on their own, but sometimes they don't think of that. You have to actually ask people to help you out and to share it and to, spread the word that you are a published author and you have this great piece of work that needs to be shared with people of all walks of life. So yes, I agree with all of that. Fantastic.
yeah. And I think asking people too, what they are comfortable, it's one thing to ask, but to make it the ask in such a way, like, what would you be able to do? Like, what would you feel comfortable as far as promoting the book? Like, how might you help me do that? And so you can help them help you, you know?
Right, right.
Yeah.
The other things that I think we did that I wish more authors would think about is we actually, I had a website already created that I was using for some of my other engagements. And so I knew that most of my information was there. It showed some credibility. And when people clicked around on the website, they could see, oh, this didn't just show up yesterday. There's some history here. And so Amy and I were talking about this, and I was like, why don't we just put a page on my website? And so it became, hollyjoy.info/For She Who Grieves. And when people clicked on that website, they could learn everything about Amy, right? They could get to know who she was. They could get involved in the book. They could sign up for an email campaign where we could directly communicate with them as we were preparing to release the book. We were able to share some exclusive content. And I thought that was just, it was something that might be a little scary for some people, but I did it with a Wix website. I didn't hire anyone to figure out this complicated scheme for me. I just played and I wasn't afraid to make a mistake. And as a result, how many more people got to meet Amy, and that's the other thing that, there's always room for more at the table. And one of the things that I love most about this process is Amy and I just got to share every success. And, even some of the failures, but we got to share every success. And I love that, people can learn about Amy and connect directly with her through my website, because she was the person who I shared a brain with for 6 months, and we got this book out that is changing people's lives. And so that, that little piece of preparation gave us a lot of opportunities to become more credible. And I guess the other part of that is on our website, we have 2 pieces of material that were really important that we got through our work with you guys. Is one, we have these media sheets which explain what the book is about and have some really good things. And Amy, I know you worked so hard with Corey and Kelli to get those pieces combined. And again, we just played off our strengths. But the media sheet became another piece that was just credible, adding credibility and giving people enough of an insight to want to work with us. And then on the monetizing our work and getting it out there, we have a speaker sheet, a speaker information guide, where if people want us to speak, which is where we actually recoup most of our investment, there's no surprises. And we wanted to do that because our target audience are people who've already had their hearts broken. We don't want to lead them on and then realize that we're out of their price range, and so they can't have us, or us feel so sad that there's something difficult in their life that we can't provide for our responsibilities because we want to give so much. And so we, I think there was a lot of strategy there, and I'm just so grateful that Amy did the time and put the time in with you guys to make it just right, because together we have a great product that is changing people's lives.
Yeah, I think to that point, as far as being strategic about it, I think, some people listening might be like, oh, well, I don't, I'm never going to create a website, or I'm not good at social media. I can't do that type of thing. But if you're strategic about your asks, make a list of people in your life that you could ask for help to do that. Like, hey, would you mind either showing me how to do this, or would you mind putting this on your website? I mean, there's different things that you don't have to be the one. I also think that, Holly, one of the things, and I think you alluded to this, was including snippets from the book. So, whether you're doing it through email or whether you're doing it through social media, giving people, it's like when you go on Amazon and you can look inside the book, you can click on the look inside. People love that. They want to see before they buy. And so including those little snippets is really helpful. I will add too, another thing that was really great, and it's not expensive, to do the bookmarks and have the QR code to Amazon or to the website or wherever you want to put some connection to online, put it on the bookmark. They're inexpensive to print. You can do that yourself too. So anyway, that's just another idea. And then you can always have the bookmarks in your purse, in your bags, and it's great to hand those out. It's great advertising.
I have actually put your bookmarks in with the checks at restaurants because I had a bunch of yours around the book launch time. And Corey and I were actually at lunch together. And whenever we were doing the check, I said, here, throw a bookmark in there for the waitress, because it was a woman. Even if it was a guy, I still would have given it to him. But you can leave those anywhere. You can ask your coffee shop if you can leave them on the counter, your hair salon, any place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I leave
Yeah,
them.
yeah, it is little piles. They're like little calling cards. They're like little business cards.
Yeah.
But that just reminded me, I know well, I'll let you ask another question. It'll come up.
Okay. No, I wanted to comment on, first of all, that was a wonderful list. If anybody's watching this, like, go back through and make a list of all the things you need to do, because that was such a great list of things you can do that are pretty simple. A lot of them cost very little or nothing. And anybody can do it. And it's just little pieces that help get your book out there and get it in front of people. So really great shares on that. I did want to comment, I'm trying to think of the exact way you said it, Holly. Sharing the story of the book. You do that through your media kit, you do that through your website, you do that through social media, and it's all sharing the story of the book. So it's not just being like, on page 5, I said this. You can talk about it in different ways. You can say, in this chapter, we talk about this, and here's how it shows up in my life. How does it show up in your life? And that's a good way to get people engaged and get people to comment, because, social media can be challenging, but if people are commenting, more people are going to see your posts. So if you are writing about your book, you're telling that story and you're adding in other stories to it. And then that helps it expand and get to more people.
Absolutely. You know what? I'll just add to the reviews. So asking people to do a review. So I was just thinking about the comments on social media, but the reviews on Amazon that's really, really important, because you can, obviously they're on Amazon and people do look at those, but you can copy those and use them in your other social media posts. Or again, if you're not social media savvy, just put them in email, you know what I mean? But the other people speaking for your book about the book is huge.
Yeah.
And you could just copy and paste.
Yeah, you really need to have that social proof that it is impactful. So that's why before we put a book out, we always ask people to review the book. We have reviews in the book, we have it on the back of the book, and then we ask people to do Amazon reviews too, so that people are, getting some honest opinions on what this book, can do for them. Yeah, so really great on that one. And I wanted to ask too, so we've talked a lot about like online stuff, website, social media. What kind of things can you do in person? I know we mentioned the bookmarks are really good, but how are you guys connecting with people using the book in person to, either work with your brand or to actually sell the book?
Yes, we always have copies of the books with us, always. And the night that the book came out, we were celebrating at a restaurant in Pittsburgh. And our waiter came over and was like, what is this all about? And we were sharing about the book. And he right then bought a copy of the book. And so you can't sell a copy if you don't have it in your hand. So we always have copies of the book with us. And that's a success. We have incentives when we are at speaking events where we sell the book. And that's really powerful, because when Amy or I are doing a speaking event, even if it's for our mainstream business, having those books available, once people meet you, they might want to know more. And so we do that. And the other thing that I do, and Amy does it as well, it's a risk. We give copies of the book away to particular business owners or particular demographics that we think are going to help us sell more. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it's a slow burn. And I think that is something that it is a plan that you really have to have financially. How many copies of the book am I prepared to comp? How many digital copies am I prepared to comp? Because it just takes one great hit and you can recoup all of that. But you've got to be prepared. So if you're going to do digital copies, you can purchase digital copies through Amazon and have that available. So if they never use the link, you can see it And then you could just give that out to someone else after a period of time. You know, you lose, you snooze, you lose. And so I've got a couple digital copies that I will send out to celebrities sometimes when they've experienced a loss or they post something particular. I have no shame. I direct message them on Instagram and say, look, I'm so sorry you're experiencing this. I wrote a book on it. I would love for you to take a look because, you know, this might bring you some relief. Here's a digital copy. If they use it, woohoo, maybe they'll tell the world. If they don't use it, I give it a couple of weeks. If there's no movement, if they haven't used it, on to the next, because I have allowed myself a certain amount of investment to get the book in front of people. And again, it does take time. You know, I know that this book is great for different organizations and groups. And so those are the people that we want to tell about. Our demographic is, you know, like funeral home directors and, you know, people who deal with more at the end of life. And again, we just got to keep having those conversations, sharing our stories directly with those key decision makers and helping them understand how giving a gift like this is a demonstration of their care for their clients and their potential clients. And it might be worth their investment. And really, Amy and I are selling our authenticity as well as the book. And, you know, not everyone's comfortable with that, but we're getting there.
Yeah, it's about having books with you. So that, you know, the book is like this size. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a new purse so I can fit 2 copies. Like, I'm not a purse person, but I literally like bought a bag that I can fit 2 copies in because it's true. It's so if you have this on you, it's amazing. Like the opportunities that open up, and also listen for opportunities when you're out and about. Listen for opportunities to bring up your book. Like, I mean, I've been in business meetings before and there's small talk beforehand and someone's talking about like, oh yeah, my wife's brother just died. She's really having a hard time. So I'm not going to be able to make it to the next meeting type of thing. And it's like, I mean, and this isn't, the thing about this book is, I mean, this is a feel-good book. This was written out of pure, heart and soul. Like, our hearts are in this book. So for us to share it with someone who we know is experiencing some kind of pain of loss is, I mean, I don't feel, I guess what I'm getting is I don't feel weird about like, oh, here, buy my book when you're feeling down type of thing. Like, I'm not trying to like prey on these people, but there's just so many opportunities to say, hey, like, this book could really help. I think your wife might really like this. You know, do you want to, that's the other thing too, is I think it's helpful, like in person. I noticed at like the book festivals and stuff that it's really helpful to give people space to flip through the book and let them peruse. Like, at the last festival we were at, I really let people just like, hey, take your time. I didn't like hover over them or try to talk to them the whole time, but just like, hey, take your time, you know, like look through it, take a peek. And then when they get a chance to kind of digest it, like one was like, oh, yeah, no, I'm buying this. This is for my friend right here. This is for my friend. I want 2 of these. You know? So give them time to peruse your book. But also, here's a funny thing too. So I had a woman came up to me who had bought the book from my gym. We were just making small talk. She knew I had this book. She bought the book to support me. She was at a doctor's office reading the book. And this woman sat down next to her and started talking about how, like, it's been rough, you know, something had just happened in her life. And she's like, you know, starts sharing all this stuff. And my friend's like, she's like looking up and she's like, you need this book. And she handed it off to that woman and bought another one from me. You know what I mean? So even just having, I've had my kids happen to be holding this book when we've been out or whatever, doing something, and it's like little mini advertisements. So anyway, there's definitely easy peasy ways to get your book out there in a tangible way. Oh, that's the other thing. What worked at the book festival is, and anywhere, this is online too, leverage holidays. Leverage the holidays. Because like for Mother's Day, I mean, I had a man, I said, you know, it's great for Mother's Day. Women in your life, this is a great, you know, this is all about hope. Women in your life would love this. And a man came over and was like, wait, what's this about? And he's like, I want this for my wife. And so, it's easy to do that.
And that kind of was where our strategy of releasing the book also, we were really determined to get this book out so that people would have an opportunity to get it in their hands before Thanksgiving, to review it, think about it, and then potentially get it for Christmas, not only as a Christmas gift or a corporate gift, but our first primary focus was this is going to really help people through a really difficult time around the holidays in processing grief. But it's also a great gift to give to others who could be having a little downtime and feeling down. And so, based on what the topic of your book is and what your purpose is, really thinking about where in a calendar year is this going to make the most sense, and then backtracking and thinking about, okay, how do I release it? How much time do I need to give people to get their hands on it? How much time do I need to create memorable experiences? And so one of the memorable experiences that Amy and I planned was a thoughtful way to release the book. We felt kind of strange about having a party about grief, and we wanted to celebrate, and we wanted to extend this experience to other people. And so we reached out to something kind of fell in my lap, and I had no shame. And so I was like, hey, yeah, I see you're opening a new business. Are you looking for somebody to stand in your space? We'd like to host an event here. And it was an art studio. And we thought this made a lot of sense for us because so often it's hard to put grief into words. And so it turned out that the owner of the studio has a history that is widely public of traumatic grief that existed in her life, which is why she opened the studio. And there was such deep alignment with what our book was about, what we were promoting, with who she was and what she valued. And she was more than generous with us, opened up her space, and it was a beautiful experience, and connected us with people who made things special. And we were connected with other people who made it special. And, every vendor that we came across and got in relationship with bought into what we were doing, because people don't just write books without a purpose. It takes a lot of work. And so when we shared our purpose with these vendors, we were amazed by how generous they became. And we asked people to help us where there were gaps. And it ended up being this incredible event that allowed people to experience a community and a movement, moving grief to hope. And I'm so grateful for that day, but for everything that happened before it, everything that's happened since.
It was a beautiful venue, beautiful people, beautiful event. It was absolutely fantastic. Too bad you can't have a book launch more than once.
Who says you can't?
You have a book birthday.
Yeah, a relaunch.
There you go, relaunch. Yes. So let's talk a little bit about opportunities that you've received from writing the book and promoting the book, and how that has brought opportunities for you as individuals, for your personal brand, for work opportunities that have to do with your job or the company that you're running. Talk to us a little bit about how you can tie that in with having a book.
Well, I'll start and Amy can think for a minute. Well, I'm like an overemployed person. So I had no expectation at all for this book to benefit me in a business or financially. Okay, you might be thinking I'm a moron. You might be right. But I really just, I'm very blessed, and I feel very blessed that I've said yes to work a lot. And what was surprising to me was that this book and sharing this book and making this book available to people and talking about it, it has added a layer of realness to me as a leader that has allowed me to be more free to serve people in the organizations that I serve with just a rawness that brings about healing and hope for them. And it also presents this idea that, no one is immune to grief, and no one is immune to suffering because of their name, Holly Joy, because of their status, because of their exterior, and that was something that has really been powerful. And it's also been a challenge for me to be more authentic and real when the chips are down, acknowledge it, and so on the side of my nonprofit, our nonprofit, we're all members here. I feel like it has really showcased the best of who we are and how we support each other. And for that reason, you know, I'm so grateful that this book exists. It's bringing healing, it's bringing help, and it's also highlighting the power of a community of strong women beside you.
Yeah, I mean, I could say the same thing. Like this book I mentioned earlier, this is a book that came from the heart. And I don't think, I mean, I had no intention of, I did not think this was, I did not write this book to be a moneymaker. So, however, that said, I do think from a business standpoint, it is, you know, it's nice to be able to say, well, yeah, and I'm an author. I wrote a book. It does give you some credibility. It also gives you exposure with a different angle. And so as far as being like a professional, so I work in typically a corporate environment with business professionals. And I always say, you know, business is personal. Like people want to work with people they know, and they feel like they have a sense of who that person is, even if it's business. So the fact that if you know your why, I mean, our book happens to be about grief. It touches everybody's life, but no matter what your book is about, I think if you know your why, like if you wrote a kid's book, like I wrote this because I thought it was really important that kids learn these lessons about blah, 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 to make, you know, the world a better place. Even speaking from your heart about your why for whatever your book purpose is, helps people see like the real you. And if you have a business, that just crosses over, you know, that just, it's like what Holly said, people see a realness to you. And that, I think that lends to your professionalism. And also I will say, I mean, I develop a lot of content for workshops for leaders and businesses on how to better connect with people and get positive outcomes, you know, words and ways to do that. And so it just, I realized like after writing this book, I work with leaders, but this book is basically about how to lead yourself through grief. And so the parallel for me in my business and my consulting is perfect. And I just developed a workshop on grief in the workplace because everyone's dealing with that nowadays. And again, grief isn't just from, you know, it's from death, divorce, you know, debilitation, disease, losing your job, losing your financial stability, losing the concept of the world as you knew it, losing your soul, failing in business. Entrepreneurs go through significant loss all the time. So this concept I can adapt to business pretty readily. But I think depending on your business, you can look for parallels and connections with your book, even if your book doesn't seem like it has anything to do with your business, you can find a tie-in.
I'm so glad you said that, Amy, because I think that, you know, that was something I was really excited to develop as we were talking about, you know, what do we do now? Getting invitations to speak from these referrals was like, oh my gosh. So, you know, if I would have a suggestion for authors out there who are getting their books out, think about, you know, what is the core message that I want to deliver in 20 minutes, 45 minutes? What are your signature presentations? And if you know, it's one thing to write, but it's another thing to get in front of people and talk about how do you take this book and actually activate it. And so we were really careful not to give everything away, but also to be very focused on, if we're going to do a 15 or 20-minute presentation, let's get this done. Let's create. And so we created, you know, that's why we have the speaker handout. So go to our website and look at it, because we put a lot of work in. So maybe it'll make it easier for you. But, you know, if someone wants to book us to speak, we have some signature presentations that we've built out because we believe they're just transferable enough that we can get in front of different groups. And so we put a price point on it that makes sense for us, for our time investment, and also for most of the audiences that we would speak to. But if someone, you know, meets Amy or watches her today, is like, oh my gosh, this woman can do anything in that company. Well, then they're going to know her from, you know, these different interactions. and she can develop and build her business through that. And so, we wanted to be in front of anything that we were asked to do so that we can be positioned to say yes and act and make that significant impact, but also have, a revenue stream that allows us to continue.
Wow. I love how much thought you guys put into every single piece of this. It's so strategic. There's so much planning and brilliance, really. Like you can't just put the book out and sit there and cross your fingers. Like I always say, you can't just do this and hope that it's going to do something. And I love that you guys have really said, we put our time and effort into this book. Let's keep it going. Let's use that as momentum. So that's just beautiful. And I was kind of wondering too, from all the things that you've shared, or even maybe something you haven't shared, what do you think is the most impactful move you've made with the book, either for selling the book or for using it to, then bring other things into your world?
Well, one of the suggestions, I forget who suggested it. I don't remember. It's someone on this call though, suggested that we actually read parts of the book and do videos and Facebook Lives and share. And we only did a couple. We might do more, you never know. But that was really powerful for us because it allowed people to hear it in our voice. And it allowed for us to experience it in a really unique way. And so while that was really powerful, I think for me personally, the most impactful thing was there was a woman at the karate studio where my kids go, who was sitting in the waiting room, who got a copy of the book and sent me a message after she finished reading it on Facebook, explaining the impact of the book on her in a very, very real and raw way. And I think, there was another woman who, we don't know most of the people who reviewed our book on Amazon, which blows my mind. But that's the impact. And, anytime that I was getting frustrated in the speed of things happening or in the sales or anything, I would go and read those Amazon reviews and read people who I never met before sharing that, or I'd go back to that message on Facebook that I got from this woman. And I think, for me, the time that we spend talking about the book and getting it in people's hands makes the difference for us. So for me, I won't speak for Amy, but that's been really big.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the personal impact is hearing from people who have read the book and being like, this made this difference or for me, or this is the aha moment that I had reading your book. And, plug my business, aha, Amy Hooper, Hanna and Associates. So I'm all about aha moments. So I think that as far as what the most impactful tactic, I guess I would say, is leverage your strengths, like know what you're good at, and then ask for support or leverage other people in your network with the things that you're not so good at. I mean, it sounds kind of simple, but like, I love talking to people. So like, I'm happy to go to book festivals and fairs. And I love, like, I'll have, this, and I love going into a bookstore, checking out their book selection, seeing if my book would fit in there, and then going up and making the ask, like, hey, would you like to, is the manager here? I have something that you guys might, be interested in. And would anyone like to read? Like, that's something that I can do, that I'm good at. And what I mentioned before, like, I'm not great at social media, but Holly is. I'm not, like, we leveraged, leverage a visibility strategist, leverage, your publicist, your publisher. There's people that you can connect with. And even if you don't feel like you're well connected in the community, I mean, even just asking different friends and family members how they might want to be involved. Is there any part of this that they would like to be involved with? You'd be surprised what people will say. Like, just even opening up that conversation, I think, is important. Just ask.
Like suggesting this to people who are leaders in their organizations as a corporate gift. Like, just suggesting, like, hey, have you found your Christmas gifts for all your employees at your Christmas luncheon yet? This book is a great gift. Or you know, like just making those
Yeah.
suggestions, or it's, you know, International Women's Day. How many women do you have working for you? Do you know you could give them each a copy of the book for this amount of money? Like, it's just asking people to think about it. And it's really, you know, that's been really fun. And Amy, I do appreciate that, because you've been hustling out there, just getting out and putting it in front of people. It's been amazing.
I like that. Wait, you just said something that was really, oh, the other thing that I think is really impactful too is when you do make a connection with someone for a bulk order, right? So like you know, maybe it's a school, you know, hey, would people, you know, in the classroom, or I'll come read the book. Maybe it's therapists. Like for us, it's like getting it into the hands of a therapist who wants to buy bulk for their patients or their clients, I guess to call them. And even at the book festival, like going around to different other booths, if you're at a book fair of some sort, going around to the other booths and making connections with other vendors who are there, who might, you know, might want to use your book for some other festival that they're going to. Who knows? Just ask. But looking for a bulk order type of having that mindset can be helpful as well. And that's the thing. That's what I will say. Last line from me is that the whole thing with the whole book project, I'll say, is that it's not just tactics, it is a mindset. So like having the mindset that you do need to be proactive. You do need to care about your book. You do need to put the effort in. It's not just going to sell itself. I mean, I thought like, oh, you know, when I went to acting school, I was just going to be a famous actress, like, oh, because it's just so natural. And oh, this book, you know, whatever. It rarely happens that way. You do have to put some effort in. So, but there's things you can do that are simple. There really are. It's really not as complicated as you might think.
I think one more thing, because we just keep giving you one more thing, is recognizing that your book is not just a book, it's a brand. And now Amy and I are associated with each other forevermore. And anywhere that this book is, that we're associated with it and our name is connected to it, we are representing that. And so it's something I think about on social media. It's something I think about in public interactions. It's something I think about with vendors, because if someone Googles me, they're going to find this book. They're also going to find Amy. And so there's this mindset, of everything that I do from here on out, this book is permanent. Everything I do from here on out is going to have this connection. And it only takes, one bad connection to break some credibility. And so even though we're not famous or anything, it's still that relation. Yes. So, social media is underplayed in a lot of cultures, a lot of places, but in the world of selling stuff, it's super important. And so before you even get that book out, check yourself, how is your social media presence? So what does it look like? What work have you done? What do you need to clean up before you become something that people can look up? And if you don't know what to do, call someone like Kelli, who is a visibility expert, because the reality is that when you get that book out there, if you expect to sell it, if you expect for people to see it, everything that you do that is not in your own home is public. And so one of the most public things you do is what you're putting out there in social media. And so even if you're not a social media strategist putting stuff out like we did for our own For She Who Grieves Facebook page, our personal, private-ish accounts become fair game. And so there's a level of maturity and responsibility that we assume going into this relationship with each other and with the book. And so that is perhaps something that some independent authors don't realize yet. But I want to be here to tell you that it really matters, because you really matter and your story really matters. And if that all matters, if it matters enough for you to put the work in, then take a few steps back and just look at what you've shared from the eyes of a stranger who's going to make a judgment. And for better or for worse, that's going to say something about you. And if you're working through this company, through this publishing company, then it also says something about us. And so, now we're all part of something a little bit bigger in the collective too.
Yeah, that's true. And it's doing the legwork before the book even comes out too. I know we didn't touch on that, but it's that build up to, you can't just say, hey, my book's launching tomorrow. It's months and weeks of preparing people and maybe posting snippets, maybe a little piece of the cover, but not the whole thing. It's building that excitement before the book comes out. So while you're checking your social media and, checking your online footprint to see like, who am I to a stranger? Like you said, Holly, that's your opportunity to start getting people involved and excited and to start connecting with people on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram who will benefit from your book, who you want to get the book in their hands. So I think that's a great example of being proactive.
Yeah, definitely. You want all the pieces to harmonize. So I just keep thinking like everything has to go together. It all has to fit together. It all is part of your brand. And, if you do have a social media presence, which you should, if you're an author, all needs to work together.
And I think the point
comment. Go ahead, Amy.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, I think the point is too, is like a listener might be sitting there thinking like, well, that's just not me. Like, I'm not an extrovert, or I can't do this. I can't do that. And that's all fine. That's all fine. I mean, you want to be aligned with your own personal style. That's fine. I think it's just a matter of like, as far as mindset goes, manage your expectations, because it does, what you put into it. You do need to put something into it. You don't have to, but then don't expect, like a lightning bolt success type of thing to happen. And that may be okay. Like you just wanted to get your book out, you just wanted to do the best you can with what you've got, but then just manage your expectations about what's coming back to you in return. I don't know if that made sense, but.
Yeah. We had one comment. Renee said, hello, beautiful ladies. Hello, Renee.
Yeah. Oh, this was a really great conversation. I think we have numerous, it's late in the day. Yeah, tons and tons of golden nuggets of wisdom here. Kelli, did you have any other questions before we hop off?
When are you guys doing it again?
We'll let you know when we have our outline finished.
Yeah. Some ideas brewing.
Oh, really? I was joking.
We're not.
Exciting. All right. Well, we will have to circle back and talk about that whenever the brewing is close to done. But yeah, if you have watched this and you have questions for us, absolutely drop them in the comments. We're all happy to jump in and answer them. We want people to be successful with their books. So we want you to get your book out there. We want you to make an impact. So we're all very open about helping people with that. Thank you, Amy and Holly. It was wonderful talking with you guys today. And thank you to my lovely co-host, Kelli, for jumping in and helping out with questions, because we love talking to authors about your books. Yeah, Aurora Coriolis Publishing and K2 Creative. And then the book is, of course, For She Who Grieves. Can we show it again? Yes, and you can pick up a copy of that on Amazon or Barnes & Noble online, and many, many other outlets. If you just searched For She Who Grieves, you could find it in a lot of different places. So if you need that book in your life, or a woman in your life, make sure you pick that up. Thank you for being on, Amy and Holly.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. I love what both of you do. You guys are amazing, and it's really supportive and helpful and empowering for everybody. So thank you.
All right. Well, everyone have a great day, and drop your comments below and share this video if you know an author who needs to step up their game and get their book out there.
Or anyone who needs a bulk order of books.
Or a speaker.
For a speaker. That's all good.
We'll put our ads below.
Yes.